So what is an ultra marathon? Well, marathons are 26.2 miles. Ultras are anything further, typically 50K, 50 miles, 100 miles, or even longer. I chose to do the Voyageurs 50-mile trail ultra marathon in Duluth, Minnesota. This year's course was changed due to the flood, and naturally they made it harder. It proved to be an extremely rugged race. This is not a cardiogram. This is the elevation chart for the Voyageurs race. 2 climbs of over 650 vertical feet, multiple climbs of 350 vertical feet. Buena Vista's largest hill is a climb of 230 vertical feet. Someone once said it takes an idiot to run a marathon, but it takes a special idiot to run an ultra marathon. I started training last November, running through the winter into the summer. My weekly long runs of 20, 25, and 30 miles were running below 0 temps and snow to running in the hardest parts of the summer days, 80 degrees or hotter. Spending a lot of time on trails and hilly gravel roads, using 2 marathons and a half marathon as training runs. My wife Jill and fellow marathoner was and is my support crew. In training and racing, and most importantly, in life. Without her help, this adventure may have not been possible. Thank God for her caretaking, her patience, and understanding of the commitment it takes to train and run in these types of races. 5:30, the day of the race, watching the weather. Crap. Highs in the 80s. This is going to be a hot, long day. Well, this is why I trained on hot days, knowing that ultras don't give a damn about weather. They don't care if it's hot, cold, wet, or dry. It's still going to be 50 miles. 50 freaking miles. Minutes before the race, trying to stay calm, putting on sunscreen, and talking to my wife, questioning my sanity, and going over my race plan. Enjoy the race. Stay calm. Eventually, it will end. Assess and move. Just keep moving forward. Eat early and often. Keep pace and don't burn your legs. At the starting line, getting a brief description of the course. Holy crap, this is going to be brutal. I notice everyone looks normal. There's no superhumans, just average people like me who trained hard and wanted a real challenge. And just like that, it's time to go. With a sign of the cross and a quick prayer and a kiss from my wife, I was off. Finally, out of the single-track goat trails and onto the gravel path. I'm hoping the rest of the trails are better than the rutted, rocky, extremely hilly trails I just came out of. My hope doesn't last for long. What laid ahead is just unbelievable. For now, I can only think about where I am, stay on pace and in control, resist the urge to panic. This is the top of Spirit Mountain. We exited the trail onto the base of Spirit Mountain ski hill. Looking up at this 650 feet of vertical climb and a half-mile long hill was just imposing. Keep moving, I thought, 1 foot in front of the other. Eventually you'll get to the top. I found climbing uphill under the chairlifts a bit ironic. It made me laugh. It helps to have a sense of humor if you're going to be a masochist. The Voyageurs course reads like this. After climbing Spirit Mountain, turn onto an old mountain bike trail. Follow this narrow, rocky, switchbacky trail to the downhill old rail grade. Be careful of washouts from the flood. Do not cross the bridge. It is not safe. Turn left onto a faint trail and steeply down to cross Stewart's Creek, past Skyline Parkway and up to a single track. This is Skyline Parkway, a road that was washed out by the flood. My head is just above the actual roadbed. There's a lot of washout damage in this area that made running legitimately dangerous, but seeing the damage to people's property in this area really put life into perspective. Gerald's Beach sounds nice. It's not. Several weeks later, I returned with my wife to this infamous section of the race. Here are her words. An amazing feat of nature, and it's a chasm of rocks piled upon each other, so thick you have no real understanding of where the earth is below and how deep the rocks actually are. As you step, the rocks shift, exposing dark shadows beneath that you know is a depth of more rocks waiting to turn an ankle and make you stumble. This is the dreaded power lines, a 5-mile section that was just physically and psychologically bruising. Repetitive vertical climbs of 350 feet. Remember, Buena Vista is 230. Sometimes I clawed my way up the hills using my hands. The second time through was even more punishing, with temperatures above 85 and full sun. This is an aid station. They were stocked with everything an endurance athlete needs. Water, Gatorade, soda, cookies, chips, pretzels, raw potatoes, salt, and M&Ms. Anything to replace the roughly 8,000 calories I would burn that day. The volunteers were just amazing. 25 miles in, realizing that I am only halfway through and thinking about what I've done and what still has to be done. 5 hours and 17 minutes of running, beating the halfway cutoff by 1 hour and 13 minutes. I have to tell Joe it's probably going to take 2 hours longer the second time through. I simply can't overstate how tough this course was. Aid station at mile 25. New tank top, food, water. Time to pop a pea-sized blister on my toe. My hips cramp so badly that I can't change my shoes and Jill has to do it for me. My sister-in-law asks me what hurts. I reply, everything. Well, it's time to go. I kiss my wife and tell her I'm okay. She knows better, but she lets me have my illusions. Leaving the zoo for miles 26 through 50. The good news is I know what to expect. The bad news is I know what to expect. A few lines from a Robert Frost poem come to mind. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. I met some amazing people. A young girl throwing up in the trail, obviously having a bad time, but later I would see her cross the finish line. I saw people headed for the power lines, knowing they wouldn't make the cutoff time, but they went on anyway. One guy was throwing up as he crossed the finish line. Another lady crossed the line, jumped up and clicked her heels together. If ever you want to see the best of humor and spirit, just stand at the finish line of an ultramarathon. Miles 30 through 50 were incredible, inspirational, amazing, and pleasantly miserable. I was sore and suffering, but suffering is not a good enough reason to quit. My attitude is upbeat and positive. I never got discouraged or down. Somewhere along the 50 miles, I realized my personality is suited for this type of running. I like the solitude, the challenge, and the fact that I fit in well with these lunatics. I did it, 12 hours and 42 minutes. 79th out of 176 runners. 46 of those runners DNF'd, did not finish, or some like to say, did nothing fatal. Starting this race, I thought I could run 50 miles. Now I know I can. And that sense of knowing is worth all the sacrifices, training, and the pain. Don't just think about doing something. Make the commitment and try. Pass or fail, at least you will know. Remember, when it comes time to die, don't discover you haven't lived.